Hello, MBA 510 students. This is Professor Zara, obviously, and this is the second of the videos that I'm putting up Saturday night, dealing with sort of the intersection between estimated cost line using regression or scatter graph, which is the way it's usually done on Excel, and what I've done is very basic, and also cost volume profit. And I just want to do this so that you can take the concept you learned of total cost line and make sure you're relating it to the concept of cost volume profit. The first one is from module 2. Second is from module 3. So what we're going to do here is we're going back to the same spreadsheet that I had before. And this is what I had built and I had constructed. I just did this. I'll actually be sending this to you in partial form. And it won't but take a few minutes to fill in, but this might be a good template too. We can try some other things on as the course goes on. Anyway, so we constructed a regression line using these data. A table manufacturer, they produce tables, and I threw this in. When you produce 0 tables, using the regression line, we got total fixed cost of $20,088.41, which in the graph down here is this point right there. I was hoping the point would pop up there. That is the point. So at a level of 0 units produced, you hit your fixed cost, which go across here, and that's your total cost line. And by the way, the space between the fixed cost and total cost line is your total variable cost. We'll illustrate that more in detail in a second. Okay, but anyway, so the numbers to remember here are that my total fixed costs are $20,866.41, and my variable cost per unit slope is 158.65. Why don't we do this? Let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and go over here to this worksheet over here. Okay, and for your homework, I'm just going to ask you to replicate what I do, and I may ask you a couple of questions that I'll ask you to fill in, but no big deal. I just want you to get a feel for this because I think these are very nice tools. Okay, and so let's say what we haven't come up with yet is a revenue line, but just for the sake of argument, let's say that this company, for whatever reason, produces 200 or sells each unit for $250, and let's say they sell 500 units. So we'll multiply 250 times 500, okay, which gives you $125,000 total sales. And like I did in the last videos and in the last chapter, I'm going to compute the contribution margin ratio. I'm going to do this in terms of percentages. Everything is always done as a percentage of sales. So I'm going to just divide sales by itself. Excuse me. Cooperating here. Yeah, it'll unfreeze this. Do that again. 125,000 divided by 125,000 gives you 1. Okay. And then we know, and this is where the regression line comes in, we know that the variable cost per unit, we're going to pull that in from the regression line, is $158.65. We're still assuming 500 units. Okay, I'm going to make that variable cost per unit negative because we're going to try to get a contribution margin. So you take negative 158 times 500 units. That means your total variable costs are 79,000. Okay, and we'll just add these two things together. Add these two numbers together. This is equal to 500 still. And we'll add these two numbers together here. Okay, and so our variable costs, if I take variable cost and divide it by sales, that's equal to about 63% on a negative basis of my sales, which means that my contribution margin is about 36% of sales. And the total fixed costs, I'm going to go ahead and get back from this basic regression line that I have here. My total fixed cost will be 20,000, and I'm going to make that negative, obviously, because those are costs. This is a little contribution approach income statement. Okay, so assuming my net income here. Okay, so I'm getting net income. So assuming that you are able to charge $250 per unit. You sell 500 units, and you'll make total sales of 125. Your variable cost per unit, as we calculate in the regression line, is 158. Units are 500, and 79,000 total variable costs. That means your total contribution margin is 45,675. Now remember that according to the break-even theory, you've got to at least cover your fixed costs, and you cover them. This 45,000 is more than enough to cover them. Okay, now let's review using these data here, and you notice it filled in automatically, and that's basically what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Okay, using these data, your total fixed costs are equal to 20,866, and you'll be able to see, and we'll just do this. I'll just put in the equation here. You can see that's equal to that. And then, as from chapter 3, module 3, we know that your variable costs, your contribution margin per unit is $91.35. Okay, so your break-even point in units is, and I'll put in the word here, units. This is 228 units. Those are the 228 units. Okay, so what this is saying is that in order to, you are way beyond the break-even point because you're selling 500, you're making and selling 500 units. To break even, you only need to make 228 units. Okay, and if you take your total fixed cost, like this is from the chat module 3, and divide by your contribution margin per unit, which is equal to $91.35, you will break even at 228 units. So you're way beyond the break-even point, and that looks pretty good. Okay, and then your break-even point in sales dollars is you just take you'll be able to see just take the total fixed cost and divide by your contribution margin ratio, which is that number right there. Okay. And so 57,106 is your break-even point in dollars. And you could just take your break-even point in units and take them times your sales price, and you'll get approximately that number. So that's in dollars. Okay, and if you want to target net income, I think I used to target net income of 30,000 or something. It really doesn't matter. I'm more concentrated on the break-even point. It would be 602. That amount right there. Target net income here would be about $32,000, something like that. Okay, because it would be 55,000 less your total fixed cost. But I'm not too worried about it. These are the two numbers that I'm concerned with here. And let's look at the graph this produces. This did produce a graph, and I'll let you look. When you finish putting those numbers in the graph, we'll show automatically. Okay, so what does the graph look like here? Okay, let's insert some lines here. Go ahead and insert some arrows here. The break-even point is right about there. That's where the total revenue line crosses the total cost line right there. Okay, so total sales line is equal to total revenue line. The loss region is any point to the left, and notice right in there the point is $250,000-$60,000. And that's saying that that's around your break-even point. So that's a point that's closer to break-even point, about $250,000 and $60,000. And we know that our break-even point is 228 units. So maybe I should actually move this line somewhere in here. Let's see what point that's still point 250, but it should be. That's about in the break-even area right there. Okay, and we'll just fill this graph in here, and I'm going to insert a couple more shapes here. So shapes here, just your profit region is here, and that's where your sales are greater than your costs, and then your loss region is pretty small here. So your loss region is going going to be, I'll go ahead and insert another shape, another arrow. And the loss region's very small here. The loss region will be right, you can barely see it, but it's right in there. So any point to the left of the break-even, to the right of the break-even point, your sales are greater than your total costs, and so you're making a profit. And then to the left of the break-even point, you're making a loss. And you've got the thick total sales line is your total sales. The broken line is your total cost. The straight, your total fixed costs are the straight line there. And by the way, the space between, I don't know if you can see this, but the space between the total cost line and the total fixed cost line, which is expanding, those are actually your total variable costs. Okay, that space right there. Anyway, so let me ask you a couple of questions. And I'll ask them, I'll go ahead, and what I'm going to do is, and I'll send you this sheet, I'm going to go ahead and copy this sheet over to the end here. So there's a copy, and I'm just going to ask a couple of questions here, and I'll rename it to, rename this questions. And I'll ask the questions right here. That's where my arrows went. I'll ask the questions right down in this zone here. And just do some what-if analysis. Let's say that you wanted to increase your advertising expenses by $5,000. Let's say it's just basically, let's just say you assume that an increase in advertising expenses will by 5,000 will result in the sale of 50 more units. Okay, so those are the parameters right there. You assume that the you assume that an increase in advertising will result in the sale of this. Would this move be advisable? And I'm going to say show data. You can use this as a template. Show, briefly describe your, why or why not. And you can use this as a template. I won't tell you what to do, but obviously advertising expense is a fixed cost. And so you probably just have to play some basic what-if analysis here with this right here. And so what you're going to have to do in the assignment is just, I'm going to give you a partial worksheet. You're going to have to finish it. You're going to have to finish what I do here, basically. And then finally, you're going to have to answer the question I just had. And I'm going to put this question right here. I'm going to put it in big, bold letters. So we're going to put it big bold letters, and then I'm going to place your answer here. Okay, so I'm going to send you this video, but I'm going to you're going to have to just repeat what I did here, and then you're going to answer this question. Okay, so anyway, so I'll stop recording now, and I'll put the video up, and I will put the question on Brightspace. I'll put the worksheet on Brightspace. Everybody stay healthy. Thank you. Bye.